Hello, hello! We are in another game of, yeah, uh, Stray Gods. And we have, um, it's been 2 days since I played last, but, we should be fine. So, we could go and talk to Freddie, or we do, talk to Pam, as we were supposed to do. We were just at Persephone, and I think it got, if I remember right, we had a very spicy moment there. So, but I would actually go to Freddy for a short moment because I have the feeling if I go there, the day ends. And I want to take with me as much as anyhow possible. And I always have the feeling to miss out if I don't do something. So let's go to Freddy first and say hi to her.
Hey, hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse.
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I stopped the goddess of love from killing herself, I guess.
Woohoo!
Whoa. Do gods have interventions? You know, they're nothing like I thought they would be. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
To be fair, all the gods, and I might have said that last playthrough before, and I think I keep saying that. The gods are literally nothing like you would imagine them because, I mean, Aphrodite is suicidal, kinda, because she cannot stand her own memories. Persephone is absolutely aggressive, depressed, has a lot of issues, and cannot leave her trauma behind her. And she has a lot of trauma. And Apollo has just not as much trauma as Persephone has, because I mean, yeah, kidnapped and all that, but he has his own trauma and depression, and actually has a lot of things where I'm like, yeah, you definitely need help immediately now. But yeah, I mean, the only one who not openly shows that he has problems with depression from the characters we saw so far, I mean, there are some couple more we will meet over the playthrough, was literally Pan. Well, and Hermes. They were pretty like chilled and not traumatic burdened yet. But I think Pan is one of the few idols that are not someone I would send into therapy, and even him, I would say that he is most likely masking. So, because you have sometimes, like, he is functional. Sorry that I keep babbling here, but he is functional, but I think that deep inside, even Pan has his problems and should be in therapy, but he is masking too well. And he always tries to laugh about whatever is around him, but he has a deep, deep darkness inside him as well. So yeah, everyone needs therapy.
Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddie?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me, I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost, but also what might still be out there.
What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Well, to be fair, though, I mean, yeah, the gods were all a little bit, they liked to play around with mortals at least in the myths and stuff. But I think, Zeus is a walking red flag in so many chapters. I mean, from like showing up in the disguise of someone else, like someone they actually know, like their a woman's husband or things like that, just to trick them. Then the swan thing, the bull thing with Europa, and I mean, there is so much wrong about the Greek mythology. That is so much red flag where I'm like, nope. But yeah. Against that, I think at least the Apollo we meet there is rather you can get along with him. At least, I mean, in this game especially.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true.
Well, in the stories, Persephone was like kidnapped by Hades, but in many stories they actually were a couple. Like they were like kind of in love, or it's romanticized, who knows. But yeah, she ate like, in some stories it's like a seed she eats or a half a grape, and so Zeus decides that she has to stay half a year in Hades, in the underworld, because because she ate from the forbidden fruit of the underworld. And that is how they describe how the seasons came to happen. And she returns in spring and has to go back in fall to live with her husband, and her mother brings then in her deepest outrage winter back and things like that. So yeah, there is a lot. The story is, yeah, I would not be okay with marrying my captor.
You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into a sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him.
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Well, to be fair, though, the Christianity put every pagan and every, like, not Christian deity and tried to, like, either push them into their frame so that it looks like that their religion was the right one all along, or, Christianity played a lot with, like, the depictions of several, like, horned gods were evil because devilish and whatsoever. So that is not really surprising to me.
Do you know anything about the Muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9, though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow. I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
Yeah. Athena.
What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her then.
Oh yeah, Athena and Medusa is an entirely own chapter. I mean, Athena had Medusa as her priestess, and wasn't it? Her name was different, I think, and yeah. She was, and Medusa was actually, yeah, she wasn't willingly, yeah, she was raped, so that was an own weird mythology thing. So yeah, Medusa was raped, and then Athena was mad at her for being raped. No, please, what? That's called victim shaming.
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? And all those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, that's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi?
Yeah, the Greek deities are... Well, to be fair, the Greek mythology is very much one-on-one with the Roman religion. That the Roman religion was, in general, just the Greek religion copy-paste version. They just named them a little bit differently. I think Athena was Athena Minerva? And then there were some like Zeus was Jupiter, and Hades was Saturn, and or was it Pluto? It's been a while. I haven't read into the Greek mythology a lot lately, so I just have like some rest remembering of that subject, but in general, there is a lot of stuff going on in the Greek mythology where I'm just shaking my head, and it would end in a neck trauma. It's entertaining, but that's literally all there is. I don't know. Well, religion is weird.
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz Oh.
Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
Yeah, I remember that. They are so cute. Too bad that you not really see anything of them after the very first scene. It would be so fun to actually see them. And like having that, hey, by the way, we're together.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline, Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure there are websites like that, so maybe they are true. Who knows? Maybe there are idols among us.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
Oh, Freddie, I love you. You're amazing.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddie. Time for more mystery solving.
Oh, yes. Talking with Freddie. I totally can relate with Freddie there. I could talk about some things like to no end, so I totally get that. And I think I did that this time. I'm very sorry if I totally bombed you with my talk today, so I will end this part now because we are already almost at 20 minutes, and then next episode we're going to Pan. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!